Hey everyone, my name is Taryn and thank you so much for stopping by my channel, Nicole Flower House. This channel is all about my cut flower garden and I grow in zone 7B. This week's video is all about my new rose garden space. Originally, we had hired landscapers to help us with this project, but that fell through. I was hoping to have all the holes dug and ready for the roses by mid-February, but now we kind of had to scramble to do this project on our own, so I just wanted to take you along and show you what is going on. The first thing I did was put down composted horse manure all in this area. Because of the weeds in it, I'm not able to use it as a top dressing in the garden, so I thought it would be great to put all of it here. Just a thin layer is what I got out of it. Now we did move all of this using a wheelbarrow. My husband and I had a pretty good system where he would load the wheelbarrow up for me and I would walk it to this spot and dump it. That made it go a lot quicker than if I was just doing it on my own. Now there are roots and stumps left in this area. I'm just gonna bury the stumps, and if I'm hitting them when digging the holes for the roses, I'm just going to work around them. They will decompose on their own eventually, and I'm not gonna fight them to get them out. I'll just plant around them and do the best I can. Once I got all the composted manure back to this area, I just raked it out and made a thin layer with it. I did try to break up some of the larger clumps as well, and if there were spots where there were clumps of weeds and grass growing, I just tried to toss those so that the roots were facing up and the grass was facing down, so they would compost and break down and not continue to grow. Now I know there's going to be a lot of weeds in this, so my plan is to mulch it very thickly to help suppress those weeds so it's not a huge problem. This is a very large area, so I'm hoping that once I get it planted up, some of that foliage from the roses and other annuals that I'll have planted in here will help with the weed control. I also plan on keeping the mulch layer pretty thick. Roses like a thick mulch, so I think it'll work out well. Now this project is a huge undertaking and a big investment in my flower gardening. I almost want to call it farming. I'm not sure at what point the garden turns into a farm, but I'm probably pretty close. I have 50 roses total. Actually, I think it's 60. Yeah, it is. It's 60 roses total. 8 of them are going into our front yard, and the rest of them will be in this area back here. I would love to expand the amount of roses I have in the front yard if this is working out well. It is going to be a bit of a challenge because I do not spray any chemicals in my garden, and that will include my roses. Now, most keepers of roses tell you that there is a spraying schedule, but I'm going to try to do this completely naturally. I don't know how successful I'll be, but my garden roses have done okay so far. They're not in perfect condition, and a lot of the foliage needs pruned and removed before I can use the blooms. But it's still something I want to try to do. If anyone has advice or comments on how to grow roses naturally without spraying, leave us some comments down below so we can all learn from you. In my climate, I will struggle with black spot and fungal diseases a little bit, and also we have a huge Japanese beetle problem, so I will be looking for natural ways to help with that. I do spray my plants with soapy water to knock those beetles off, but that doesn't prevent them from completely ruining the foliage and blooms for a short period of time. I haven't had them kill any of my plants yet, but it definitely takes a toll on the roses and also my dahlias. Now, unfortunately, since our landscaping plan fell through, we're getting a late start on this rose project. The roses that are in my garden that I am transplanting to this new place are already putting on new foliage and green growth. So this is not the ideal situation, but I'm going to move these roses anyway. You can move them when they're not dormant. It's just not what they like. So hopefully they do okay. We are also putting up a goat panel trellis for Miss Strawberry Hill Rose. I'm really excited about this. I was planning on using some of the arbors that I already have in my current garden, but some viewers pointed out that the probably wasn't big enough for Miss Strawberry Hill Rose and recommended a cattle panel trellis, which is what we intended on doing at first, but I liked the look of the goat panels better when I was at the store because they're just a little more uniform. Now they are more expensive, so if you're doing a large project, that'll play a big role, but since I didn't need very many panels, I was willing to upgrade to the goat panel from the cattle panel. Here is what Strawberry Hill Rose looked like last season, and I didn't have the heart to show everyone what I had to do to get her out of this spot. Strawberry Hill Rose is very mad at me right now, so if all of you could send her some positive healing vibes, I'm sure she would really appreciate it. I did get her planted in a new spot on her new arbor, and I'm also working to train these branches so that the growth that comes off of them will be what trails across the top of the trellis. Strawberry Hill Rose is definitely alive, but she is in transplant shock really bad. It was hard for me to get her out of her spot. She was extremely rooted and had just grown so much since when I bought her, which was about, I think, 2 years now I've had her. So she was actually a gift from my mother-in-law for my birthday one year. I think she's 2 years old, going on 3. But anyways, I'm working on getting her trained to this new trellis, and I'm hoping that she recovers from her transplanting okay. Now some of these canes just aren't going to reach the trellis no matter how I bend them. So maybe at the end of the season, after she's recovered, I will probably just prune these canes off that I can't get onto the trellis. I don't want to do that right now because she's already been through so much, so for now, I'm just going to leave them here. This is the first time I have tried to prune and train a climbing rose, so I hope I'm doing okay so far, and we'll just have to watch her progress throughout the season this year. These main canes that are coming out of the ground, you want to train laterally, so then any of the new growth that comes off of them can go vertically up and over the arbor. I also do have wire that is holding the goat panel to the T-posts, but the wire is definitely not what is structurally holding this panel in place. It's the tension that the panel is pushing against the T-posts. So you'll notice that we put the panel on the inside of the T-posts and let it push outward to stabilize itself. And then I did tie it down with wire just to be extra sure that it wouldn't move around. And here is the final look, and I just can't wait for Miss Strawberry Hill Rose to recover from her move and really take off and climb freely over this arbor. You can see here that some of the foliage is wilted and most likely will dry up and die off, but not all of the foliage is looking bad, just some of it. So she's definitely still alive at this point. maybe just very upset, but there are signs that she has healthy growth still on her, so I'm hoping for the best. And this footage is from a few days later when I went back to check, and like I predicted, some of the foliage is dead, but there is still living and healthy foliage as well. So a few days out and still so far so good. And I'll definitely keep you updated throughout the next few weeks. Here is a quick reminder of all of the roses that are currently in my garden that are in the garden boxes and will be transplanted to this new rose garden, hopefully within the next week. I have 12 of them. They are all David Austin roses. I found that a lot of these blooms tend to shatter pretty quickly. I'm not getting a lot of base life out of them, but again, I'm doing everything completely naturally without preservatives in the water. So here are all of my new roses. These are all hybrid tea roses. I just kind of fell in love with them over the winter and decided that I wanted to grow a lot of these hybrid teas. They are really good for cutting, and I tried to pick varieties that had good disease resistance and also could tolerate a lot of heat because of my climate. I'm not sure if this will help me in my all-natural rose gardening methods, but we will see how they do. And here is a quick look at all of the varieties that I'm going to be planting. I'm really excited and hope that I get nice cutting stems off of these, good disease resistance, and a good vase life out of them. I tried to select a variety of colors, and also I have more than one plant of the same variety. That's something I didn't do with the David Austins. I only have one of each type, so it's kind of hard to get a handful, let alone a dozen or two of the same blooms. So I do have sometimes 2, other varieties I have 4, and one variety I have 5 of the same thing. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to get more of the same bloom so I can make bouquets that coordinate and are similar to each other. That's something that I couldn't do last season. Well, that is all I have for today's video. If you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up. And the best way you can support me and my channel is to subscribe and share it with your flower-loving friends. I'll see you next time. Bye.